Capital punishment in Romania was abolished on January 7, 1990, through a decree law. This abolition was subsequently reaffirmed by the 1991 Constitution. Romania is also a party to the Second Optional Protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which commits its signatories to the abolition of the death penalty. The death penalty has a long and varied history in present-day Romania. Vlad the Impaler was notorious for executing thousands by impalement. One of his successors, Constantine Hangerli, was strangled, shot, stabbed and beheaded by the Ottomans in 1799. In Moldavia, the earliest reference to executions is found in a 1646 text from the time of Vasil Lupiu, while in Wallachia, a similar mention from 1652 dates to Mihai Basarab's reign. Both stipulate that particularly serious offenses such as treason, patricide or abduction of women merit execution. Only the metropolitan could grant clemency, provided the condemned either lost his land to the church or, together with his family, became its serf. On the 7th of January 1990, shortly after the Ceausescus were summarily shot, the leaders of the National Salvation Front abolished the death penalty by decree. Some Romanians saw this as a way for former communists to escape punishment and demanded reinstatement of the death penalty in a series of protests in January 1990. In response, the leadership scheduled a referendum on the question for the 28th of January, but cancelled the vote 10 days before it was to take place. On the 27th of February 1991, Romania ratified the Second Optional Protocol to the International Covenant. The Constitution, ratified that December, explicitly prohibited the death penalty. The prohibition was retained when an updated version of the Constitution was adopted in 2003. The Constitution provides that no amendment is allowed if it were to result in the suppression of fundamental rights and freedoms, which has been interpreted to mean that the death penalty may not be reinstated as long as the present constitution is in force. Romania is also subject to the European Convention on Human Rights and the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union, both abolitionist documents. Ahead of the 2000 presidential election, Corneliu Vadim Tudor, who finished in second place, made reintroduction of capital punishment a major plank of his campaign. Capital punishment in Romania was abolished in 1990, and has been prohibited by the Constitution of Romania since 1991. Romania has committed to the abolition of the death penalty through its participation in international treaties, such as the Second Optional Protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. While Romania has abolished capital punishment, it historically used the death penalty, including under communist rule, where it was used to punish political dissidents and criminals. The last executions in Romania took place in 1987, prior to the 1990 abolition. The vampire of Bucharest, Rîmaru, born on October 12, 1946, in Carabia, Olt County, Kingdom of Romania. Rîmaru was born in a toxic family his parents argued almost daily. His parents eventually separated and his father moved to a new city after his death years later. The father of Rîmaru was discovered to have been a serial killer. Through DNA testing, many murders were linked to the father of Rîmaru. Rîmaru was not academically oriented. He failed several exams and was several times forced to repeat a class. Rîmaru started committing crimes at an early age. He was molesting underage girls and could not control himself by continuously repeating offenses. He was convicted of aggravated theft. At the age of 18, after his release from jail, Bucharest was shaken by a series of crimes committed by an unknown individual who would use a hammer, a small axe, and an iron bar or a knife to attack restaurant waitresses who were alone and returning from work, in late 1970 and early 1971. Rîmaru, struck after midnight during unusual weather conditions such as snowstorms, driving rain, high winds, freezing cold or fog. Many women would not go outside after 9 p.m. except in large groups or with men. Their terror was heightened by the police's reluctance to release details, leading to wildly exaggerated rumors. The police eventually realized that they were dealing with a serial killer. A year-long investigation, with the help of victims who had survived, led to Rîmaru's arrest on the 27th of May 1971. The victims were able to describe Rîmaru, and through police surveillance in DNA, from hair found in the hand of one of the victims, he was arrested after. After the murder of Popa, a waitress, the authorities went on high alert, launching Operation Vulture, named after the street where she had been murdered. 6,000 men from various law enforcement agencies patrolled the streets of Bucharest each night, as well as 100 cars and 40 motorcycles. Medical personnel, night bus and tram operators, hotel and bar employees, all were mobilized, not to mention great numbers of Securitate, police and Interior Ministry staff. 2,565 arrests were made and over 8,000 individuals were asked for identification, but Rîmaru would commit one more murder and attempt to commit several more before being arrested. Rîmaru remained completely silent, staring expressionlessly into space. After his arrest, the investigators went into an office to decide on a plan. They introduced a police officer who pretended to be a thief into his cell and got him to talk, thinking he was talking to another criminal. The trial of Rîmaru drew significant public attention, thought he had convinced investigators of his insanity defense. Rîmaru was apparently shocked when he read the report stating that his judgment was not impaired by mental illness, and that he did not suffer from hallucinations, delirium, or similar conditions. Rîmaru immediately changed his plea, recanting his previous confessions in their entirety. Thenceforth, he refused to answer even his lawyer's questions. Rîmaru was not willing to talk to anyone about his crimes. On the 23rd of October 1971, Rîmaru was taken to Jalava prison in a van. He had to be dragged to the place of execution from the moment he left the van. Until he was dead, he was in a rage and vigorously tried to escape. The 3 officers charged with shooting him tied him to a post in the prison yard. Asked, in accordance with the law, if he had any last wishes, he said no. The men noticed him become more agitated, trying to bite off his clothes and twisting around the post. He yelled, "Call my father, so he can see what's happening to me. Make him come. He's the only guilty one. And I want to live." Because of his constant movement, it was difficult to aim accurately, and in the end, his backside was riddled with bullets, as he had turned all the way around. He was buried in the town cemetery. His grave remains unmarked. Rîmaru was 25 years at the time of his execution. Thank you for watching Death Row.